This summit event, as the name suggests, is to pay attention to the issues pertaining to the global south and those issues before key global forums like the G-20, UN, and other multilateral settings. This summit will attempt to bring out the perspectives and views of countries of the global south to which India belongs, and also promote human-centric development focused on the unity of voice of our countries. The theme of today's meeting, developing synergies in the South, trade, technology, tourism, and resources, is an apt theme in the circumstances we find ourselves at this juncture. These are the key pillars for development of the countries of the South. The COVID-19 pandemic belied our resilience on the existing structures and cooperation. The developed world, less developed world and developing countries not only saw vaccine inequity, but also an impact on our economy, on tourism, and other areas. We are also faced with other challenges, including consequences of geopolitical tensions. Global economic recovery is fragile and weak. Growth rate of global trade has slowed down. A sustainable recovery in this scenario is possible only if we all work together. We need to forge new partnerships and mechanisms so that the voice of the global south is reflected on the decision-making table. Excellencies, let me come to issues regarding trade. Developing countries were severely affected due to supply chain disruption during the pandemic, including severe shortages of food and essential medical products. The pandemic has shown that we need to work together to build resilient supply chains. During the pandemic, India provided free wheat and rice to 800 million people across the country. At the same time, India also supplied food grains to several other countries in need. In India, for sustainable food security, we are promoting traditional food grains like millets, which are rich in nutrition. We look forward to celebrate this year as the International Year of Millets with great enthusiasm. There is also a need for depoliticization of the global supply of essential medicines. At the WTO Ministerial Conference held in Geneva in June last year, South Africa, India, and other developing countries worked together to obtain the TRIPS waiver. This decision will help us provide equitable and affordable access to vaccines across the world. We shall redouble our efforts at the WTO to get the TRIPS waiver extended to COVID-19 diagnostics and therapeutics. Excellencies, the countries of the global south are now contributing more than half of the world's economic growth. The South-South trade has soared over the years to hit $5.3 trillion in 2021. The volume of trade between developing countries is now higher than that between developing and developed countries. India has a large market and excellent trade ties with all the countries of the South. We would like that trade linkages should be further enhanced for mutual benefit of all our countries. India is providing unilateral duty-free access to the least developed countries since 2008 through the duty-free tariff preference scheme of India. We are happy to share that 35 less developed countries have become beneficiaries under this scheme that provides preferential market access on 98% of India's total tariff lines. India also offers services waiver to less developed countries under which preferential treatment in market access, waiver of visa fee for business and employment visas, technical assistance, and capacity building is provided for service suppliers from LDCs. India is also open to enter into preferential trade agreements with interested countries in the South for tapping the significant trade potential that exists between us. Excellencies, connectivity is a defining factor for success in the developing world. Better infrastructure provides ease of delivery of services to the last mile and helps people in remote areas to join the mainstream. It leads to even remote regions witnessing business investments, providing skill development and employment opportunities locally. India's national logistics policy and the PM Gati Shakti launched last year are steps in this direction. While the Gati Shakti focuses on the development of integrated infrastructure, the national logistics policy is concerned with creating digital services and a regulatory framework that will help streamline the logistics ecosystem in India. We in the global south can work together to exchange best practices in models of connectivity that we employ in our countries. Excellencies, with regard to investment and technology, southern countries are also helping to drive world investment. According to the United Nations, the outflows of foreign direct investment from the south represents a third of global flows. Indian companies are also investing abroad in a big way, including in the southern countries. Financial cooperation and foreign direct investment between developing countries have funded much needed infrastructure, including ports, roads, and bridges in the global south. This closer financial cooperation is also enabling developing countries to engage more in the global policy debates and shape the international agenda. When we speak of technology, sharing and use of technology for development of all of our countries needs to be prioritized. India's experience of the past few years has shown us that if we make digital architecture inclusive, it can bring about socio-economic transformation. Our United Payment Interface, UPI, which is an instant, real-time payment system, has transformed India's digital payment landscape, accounting for over 40% of all digital payment transactions taking place in India. In 2022, the UPI processed over 74 billion transactions valued at about US dollars 1.54 trillion. Our open source digital COVID platform was a key factor in the success of India's COVID-19 vaccination program. India has also emerged as a land of startups, unicorns, and grassroots innovation in the last few years. This has helped us in our economic growth and taking development to the common man. We will be happy to share such innovations and work together with the countries of the South. With regard to tourism, which is another area having multiplier impact on socio-economic growth, we believe many developing country economies which are dependent on tourism but were severely affected due to the travel related restrictions of the COVID-19 pandemic are now fast emerging from the problems of the last 2.5 years. The tourism sector has certainly picked up, and we hope to see more exchange of tourists in the years to come. Countries of the global south can work together for promoting tourism amongst each other. Indians are now traveling in greater numbers to all parts of the world, and countries of the global south are welcome to promote their countries as tourist destinations for Indian citizens. Friends, in terms of natural resources like minerals, critical rare earth elements, oil and natural gas, we are required to encourage these minerals for our sustainable development. Many countries of the South have huge deposits of these resources, and we should work closely to use such resources for the benefit of the South. We should also be wary of monopolization of supply of certain minerals, leading to high prices of these critical inputs, which make our energy transition very difficult. Before I conclude, I would again like to mention that India is ready to share its development experience with the global South. We are also ready to learn from other fellow countries and bring forth the matters of our common concern for further discussion and cooperation towards our joint sustainable and inclusive growth. I will be happy and looking forward to hear from you on the above mentioned issues during your kind interventions. Once again, a very, very warm welcome to this summit, and I wish you all the very best in the deliberations today. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, sir, for your opening remarks and inaugurating this session. It is my honor to invite the Minister of Trade and Industry of Central African Republic, Her Excellency Mrs. Mbua Leah Koyasum